Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Oh my goodness, I was about to sit there and say Days of Our Lives fans. Before we get started, I want to talk about yesterday's episode and yesterday's review because I feel like I feel like I need to retract a lot of my statements. And this was about Curtis. It was about Curtis and what he said yesterday. And this wasn't just me. Granted, reading the comments and stuff like that definitely did help me help me reshape my opinion about yesterday and about I watched that video yesterday and I was just like, well, I don't do drugs, so I can't sit there and say I was high. And I really didn't drink anything at all, so I can't sit there and say I was drunk. So I'm kind of just sitting there looking at myself yesterday and was just like, what the hell were you talking about? First of all, Nina needs to be nowhere near Wiley, okay? At all. She is an extremely bad influence on him. And, first of all, Curtis needs to mind his damn business, okay? That's when he came up and was like, well, you said what you had to say. Now I'm gonna sit there and say my piece. Like, bro, who asked you to say a damn thing? And then he sits there and talks about how I know in a lot of ways I'm sounding like a hypocrite, but, people are allowed to change their minds, and that's just what I'm gonna go with. And then he talks about how, if you're upset with Nina, then you're punishing Wiley. It's like, no. She should be nowhere near Wiley. Especially considering how she kept Wiley from her granddad. But you're sitting there champion talking about, oh, no, she should still sit there and have access. And, in a large way, I feel like such a dumbass. For what I said yesterday, I feel like such a dumbass for what I said yesterday, talking about, I almost don't even want to sit there and repeat what I said yesterday, but I was wrong. I was 100% wrong, and the only defense I could sit there and try to, mount up, which is absolutely nothing, is that when he said that, and he was like, you shouldn't sit there and punish Wiley, I'm sitting there thinking about it from Wiley's perspective as far as, the adults in his life just couldn't get along, so now he doesn't get a chance to sit there and, have access to his other grandmother, who he enjoys, being with. But in reality, when he gets older, he'll realize why it's such a good idea that she is nowhere near him, and they are totally downplaying her coming back, it really does seem like they're giving her more of a pass as far as everything that she did, with the whole Nixon Falls thing. I mean, hell, even Michael Smith there reconsidering, having her have access to Wiley. When this whole thing was said and done, I'm not gonna sit there and say jail time because I don't understand why Willow was sitting there talking about jail time, but she should have no access towards Wiley. And then honestly, tell you the truth, I feel like she should be getting a lot more than what she's getting. But, they're tending to downplay a lot of things, and yeah, I'm not feeling it out there. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this episode really wasn't that great. I felt like this was more of a, if you're watching this for the first time, this is pretty much just catching you up on a lot of stuff. Valentine was there talking to Drew. They pretty much are just playing catch up at this point. Yeah, I mean, pretty much all Drew and Valentine did. Which, by the way, I feel like I should blame Anna for in some ways Valentine's abduction. I mean, she just left him at the hotel by himself after Snither saying, "Hey, I'm an American. Me and my other American friend, he's sleeping it off upstairs, and I'm gonna just go out for a little bit. So, do you think you could sit there and just look out for him and let him know where I am when he wakes up?" So I feel like Anna's partly to blame for that, but I guess if we're being fair, they probably just would have wound up kidnapping them both. So there is that. So Victor apparently wants some sort of key to controlling Drew. Put in a lot of money, a lot of time. I mean, 2 years of a hassle and a headache. And so this is what he wants from Peter. And Peter is like, he's pretty much just doing stall tactics at this point. So at some point, when Valentine and Drew are sitting there talking about their daughters and stuff like that, a nice little moment, Drew is sitting there finding out about his daughter and everything like that. And I'm like, oh man, this is so nice. This is probably not going to last that long. And sure enough, 2 guards came in there and got Valentine away. Now Valentine's sitting there talking to Victor. And Victor pretty much is like, hey, listen, I need your help. Most likely Peter's going to sit there and kill us both. How about we team up and, we sit there and take him out? Now, Peter is talking to Drew. And apparently he was going through some sort of mind conditioning or whatever. Whatever it was, it seemed like Peter had the key to activating Drew's mind control. Because he pulled out some sort of card. And he said something. And then next thing you know, Drew is, well, he's mind controlled. Now I'm guessing that, Peter's going to use Drew as a way of actually touch you. I don't know what the hell he's going to do. I mean, he still needs Victor's help as far as finding his daughter and everything like that. So, I don't know. I feel like Peter's going to sit there and use Drew to try to get the Victor and try to force his hand or something like that. I'm not too sure, but it's just a guess. I almost forgot the woman's name. So Dante is sitting there asking about 20 different questions to this woman named Dallas. And after a while, she gets kind of suspicious, so Sam walks in there, and then, Dante at this point is like, let's just put the cards on the table. He says who he is, he says who Sam is, and then, at first the woman's kind of reluctant to sit there and help, but then, Dante's like, listen, we're with the, the WSB, and I'm pretty sure you don't want them sitting there snooping around whatever sort of illegal activities you got going on, so just tell us what we need to know. So the woman, confesses that she did help Shiloh and somebody else, fake the plane crash to get some people. Thing is, she didn't sit there to say who the people was that she was getting. Just mentioned Shiloh, and that was about it. So Sam and Dante leave, and at first, they're kind of suspicious because Sam is like, listen, she could have just told us what we wanted to hear. She sits there and thinks back to her days as conning. But it didn't matter because at least it gives them some sort of confirmation that Drew's alive. And this is when Dante, in this roundabout way of sitting there asking what's going to happen when Drew comes back. Like, so is things going to sit there and change between us? Or it's like he wanted to ask that, but not directly. So he's just like, so what's going to happen when he comes back? And long story short, Sam was pretty much just like, nothing's going to happen. Because whatever feelings I felt for him weren't real. It's so nice, because I sit there and I think back to that time where Sam just... I felt like... Especially when she married Drew, knowing that Jason came back and still married him anyway, and then kissed Jason while you were sitting there married to Drew. Just made a complete and utter disaster out of that whole thing. And then you know what she did? She decided to leave town, just run away from your problems. Oh, I'm just gonna get away from a little bit. Okay, cool. So you toyed with his heart, you toyed with Drew's heart, and then you just walked off like, oh, I need a break. Nice, real nice. Robert winds up meeting up with Anna. They both question Chloe, and Chloe gives them pretty much the information as far as, her time with Drew, and kind of gave them a guesstimate of where Drew's location may be at. And, yeah. Side note, does anyone remember Rudge? True or false, does he look like Mr. Bean? Like, does he look like the comedian that played Mr. Bean in those movies that, for some odd reason, people found funny? I never really understood that appeal at all. I never really got what was so funny about that, but thinking about GH and thinking about Rudge, it reminded me of Mr. Bean. He's like he does like British comedy, which is he does British comedy, but like it's like the equivalent of the Three Stooges. Yeah. Curtis and Portia. Now, obviously, it's always a good day for me whenever I get to see Portia. But with that being said, they didn't really do too much of anything. At all. They talk about Jordan. Which, yeah, I gotta sit there and admit, oh my goodness, not there trying to tell Michael off and this, that, and the third, and just, he's cool with the fact that Nina lied to Sonny for 9 months about his past, and yet, he practically kicked Jordan to the curb. Anyway, they didn't really do too much of anything. They talked about Jordan, and I'm not gonna lie, here's the thing. When we last saw Jordan with Portia, when Portia walked in the room and saw Curtis holding Jordan's hand, it almost looked like she was jealous and a little bit hurt. So I was sitting there wondering, like, alright, so she come back, is she going to sit there and talk about that? She's going to talk about the feelings? No, we're just going to pretend that this didn't happen. And then they, at that point, they just decide to go to club hopping or whatever. To check out the competition. And she says yes, and then they go out, and then that's pretty much about it. Which, I'm going to be honest, I don't really understand why she was so okay with... I mean, maybe she had work next morning. Because, Curtis wanted to offer her a different drink, but she wanted to get wine, because, wine is not as strong as other alcohols. And then, Curtis is just like, alright, do you want another glass? She's like, no, I'm good. But then she decides to go club hopping, which I'm just like, you're just not going to drink at the next club? I mean, that's cool if you're not, but, like, okay. I felt like that's what they talked about more or less. And yet Portia still sitting there keeping that secret. Just keeping that secret. I am wondering at some point when they are going to get a new Jordan, because this isn't the case with Lulu where she's still in a coma. Curtis is like, the road to recovery is slow, but she looked like she's doing good. So I'm just like, well, at some point she is going to come back to Port Charles, right? She's not just going to just live somewhere else. I don't know. I'm hoping at some point that they do get back a new Jordan, because I know some people liked her. I was never really too much of a fan of hers, to be honest. I mean, I wasn't that crazy about the old Jordan, but I did like the actress better. So I'm not really broken up about her. I don't know. I know I'm kind of just rambling a little bit, but I'm not even a fan of the actress that plays Nina. I mean, there's nothing wrong. I don't have any you know, like I don't hate the actress. I'm just not really a fan of her as far as Nina goes. I still like the other one, but I don't know. Whenever I sit there and talk about Nina, I'm always not there talking about with just like this disdain and just like content because I really don't like her. And it's not just her. I'm not really a fan of the actress either. So, you know, there's that. I feel like that's about it. I don't feel like this episode was really that great. I enjoyed the other episode a lot more yesterday. And I pretty much already admitted how wrong I was yesterday. But in case you skipped it or whatever, yeah, my whole feelings, my whole statement about Curtis and, you know, how Nina should sit there and, you know, be in Wiley's life was, well, that was wrong. Just absolutely wrong. I thought about that all this morning, like, wow, I really said that. Then again, I also thought that today was the 6th, and, that was not fun, because I wound up being late for work. Because I thought today was Wednesday, so, awesome. Anyway, before I go, I did tell DC Soap Sanctuary to, appeal the case as far as YouTube. I told them to go on Twitter. Because to be honest, I felt like that was a mistake that YouTube did. And even though that, you know, DC Sanctuary, even though that DC did the channel for fun, he wasn't even trying to do it for like getting money and whatever. Like, he was just doing it just for fun. There was a lot of time and effort that went into it. And YouTube just pretty much went there saying that, what was it again? Deceptive and spam content was an absolute mistake, and I don't feel like YouTube should get away with that as far as just deleting his channel. There's way too much time and effort going into his channel to do that. So I told him to fight, and I'm going to sit there and try to work and see what I can do on my end as far as trying to get his channel back. I'm not saying I have like sway or anything like that, but I'm going to sit there and just try to look into it because I think it's just BS. But with that being said, I'm going to go. And Hulu is really messing up. I mean, yeah, they put it out, but like it was late. And by that time I already went to my other site, which was actually working a lot better. So, anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. See you in the next video.